as an exit strategist, one of the first goal is always to ensure that the business owner has the financial security that he needs to live his or her lifestyle in the end, So when a business owner has 90% of their wealth tied up in their business and they want to transfer it to their child, that puts that main goal in peril without careful planning. So one of the facts are that about 65% of all transactions where somebody's exiting occur to an insider, right? And 40% of that is to a family member. 25%, excuse me. So 25% are transferring to a family member. The other 40% go to key employee group or a co-owner. So when you looking back at the family dynamic, typically every child has the ability to get involved with the family at some level, right? And what parent wouldn't be happier to hear the words from little Billy or little Sally that, Mom, Dad, I want to be involved in the business. Mm-hmm. And, and they say, okay, great. You're going to start out in the warehouse loading pallets in, 120 degrees out there in the shop. But this is where the family dynamic gets clouded, right? Because if little Billy and Sally were fighting over a 50-cent toy when they were kids, it's going to be doubly difficult to do that for a $10 million enterprise. Mm-hmm. All these dynamics get involved, competition, sibling rivalry, and then you introduce the spouses to that dynamic, and it really can stir the pot. So if it sometimes co-ownership for family members just isn't a good thing. Typically, if you look around, most of the businesses are between partners. You and I have the same goal, same vision, and we want to start a business. We're not introduced to that business by bloodline, right? So it's a lot easier for us to get along than it would be for siblings. So
it's also easier to get out.
Yeah, and today when you look at a lot of the businesses that started out as brother and sister or family members, a lot of them either got bought out. The one sibling bought out the other, or siblings dropped off because it was too difficult. So I'm not down on transferring to kids because it does have its advantages. One big advantage, keeping the business in the family. If grandfather wanted it, started it, dad ran it, now they want the child to have it. That's one. Jobs for the kids. Sometimes kids aren't so employable, so they can find a home inside of a business. The owner gets a chance to work with the kids. That's kind of interesting to a lot of business owners. The business owner also can pick his or her departure date. They know for sure Junior can run it. I've got all the confidence, and that's a good option too. And the fifth thing, and most important, is there is an opportunity sometimes for an owner to bleed out over a longer period of time more money than they would get otherwise in a third-party sale. So that's an interesting dynamic. A lot of people that we're working with don't understand how we create plans to do that. Now, the disadvantages always are the risk to achieving the financial objective, right? You've got your kids, their success is dependent on, your success in retirement is dependent on their success running your business. So the failure rate can be catastrophic. There's a longer payout window. It's not like a third-party sale where you go in, you know, and you get a check, you walk out of the closing, right? And then the third thing, disadvantage is family discord and friction, because it always comes up, and as you know, Jeff will tell you, that's what he specializes in. So how do you do it? How do you do it? You know, sometimes we sit down with business owners and they're just dead set on transferring it to the child. You know, the first thing you gotta ask yourself is, how much money do I need and how much money do I want? That's one. Two is, how long do I want to stay around? Do I want to stay involved? You know, because if your child is real young and you've got 8 to 10 years to bring them up to a comfort level where you're comfortable, well, that's a problem, right? And the third is to whom I want to sell it to. So if that answer is you want to sell it to your child or transfer it to your child, you know that kids don't have any money, so they don't have money to buy it. So it's going to involve some really careful, clever, and creative planning, creative business strategy that involves both tax and estate issues. If it's an only child, that makes it a lot easier, right? But if there are other siblings involved, or even worse, not involved, you know, if you have one sibling in the business and 2 siblings out of the business, that creates a real
There's
big
problems any way you slice it.
there is, you know. So it gets very tricky, but this is, you know, what we do. This is how we design plans for people that don't have the full knowledge. They don't understand what their options and alternatives are for getting this done. So with the start of any plan, with the start of any successful exit strategy, we always make sure that the parents maintain control of the company until they get their final payment. Okay, so any strategy involved, they get control. So, you know, so then how do you do it? How do you gift? How do you get the business transferred? Well, you need to start off with an evaluation, right? Because if you're either gonna sell stock, you're gonna gift stock, or you can be more creative and bonus stock. You know, create plans that achieve that goal through bonus and so forth. Because each and every one of those different techniques have a dynamic tax implication. You know, there's a gift implication to it as well. You know, doing that is one thing. Then you have the other dynamic of equalizing the estate, right? And this can be done by, it can be done with other assets, right? So if you have a child, and we run into this all the time, where you have, you know, non-business family members that are now relying on one of the family business members to be successful.
Yeah.
And this always creates discord within the family.
Absolutely. All kinds of decisions can be questioned.
Right, and you know, sometimes business owners make the mistake of letting the estate tax dog wag the tail of the exit strategy, which can be, which could create even more problems. You know, it's easy to break things down in equal shares, but equal isn't always equitable. You know, if you have a child that's in the business and, you know, dad says, wow, you know, without my child in this business, they created the wealth, they've taken the business to the next step, they deserve some type of sweat equity, and how do I get that to them without making the other family members, you know, angry? And there are techniques and strategies that we outlay for business owners to find out if that's the right path for them.